Plato's Werewolf, Ancient Greek Beliefs about Lycanthropy. Plato wrote about many things. Unknown to many, he also wrote about werewolves. In particular, he wrote about how people become werewolves. Werewolves, hybrid creatures that combine human and wolf forms, are typically considered to belong to the folklore of medieval Europe. Yet, the origins of these lycanthropic narratives are deeply rooted in the ancient world, including the civilization of ancient Greece. Ancient Greeks conceived an elaborate network of mythology, in which they incorporated various supernatural and natural elements. Among these, their beliefs about werewolves served as a reflection of their understanding of humanity, nature, and the divine. This video will delve into ancient Greek beliefs about werewolves, offering insight into their cultural perceptions and how these ideas evolved over time. It will also discuss Plato's view on werewolves. The concept of lycanthropy, derived from the Greek words lykos, meaning wolf, and anthropos, meaning man, finds its origins in ancient Greece. One of the earliest known references to werewolves is in the epic poem, the Iliad, written by Homer around the 8th century BCE. In it, the character Dolon, a Trojan spy, is described as wearing a wolf's skin, symbolizing his transformation into a creature of deceit and cunning, like a wolf. The most famous tale, however, comes from the Arcadian royal family. King Lycaon and his 50 sons, notorious for their impiety, were said to have angered Zeus by serving him a meal made of a murdered child. As punishment, Zeus turned Lycaon into a wolf, a tale narrated by the Roman poet Ovid in his Metamorphoses. This narrative exemplifies the theme of divine punishment and transformation, common in ancient Greek mythology. For the ancient Greeks, the werewolf represented more than just a horrifying beast. The transformation into a wolf was symbolic, often carrying moral, philosophical, or spiritual implications. The story of Lycaon was a cautionary tale about hubris and sacrilege, illustrating that transgressions against the gods could result in a loss of humanity, symbolized by the transformation into a beast. In the case of Dolon from the Iliad, his wolf guise indicates a shift into a more primal state, embodying cunning and treachery. Here, the werewolf transformation can be seen as a metaphor for an individual's capacity to tap into darker, more savage instincts when faced with desperate circumstances. The werewolf myths were not just stories. They were manifestations of the societal and psychological concerns of ancient Greeks. The fear of wolves was real and tangible. They were threats to livestock, and by extension, the livelihoods of those dependent on farming. The werewolf, therefore, was a potent symbol of the unpredictable and threatening aspects of nature. Furthermore, lycanthropy may have reflected the ancient Greeks' understanding of mental illness or antisocial behavior. Those exhibiting animalistic or violent behaviors may have been categorized as werewolves, serving as a primitive explanation for psychological disturbances. In ancient Greece, werewolf legends also had religious connotations. The transformation of humans into wolves was associated with cult practices, particularly in Arcadia, where it was connected to the worship of Zeus Lycaeus. During the Lycaea festival, one of the rituals involved the consumption of a sacrificial meat, and it was believed that anyone who ate human flesh would turn into a wolf. These ritualistic practices underscored the ancient Greeks' belief in the thin veil separating humanity from the wild. Cult members were known to take part in human sacrifice during the cult festival of Lycaea, which was instituted by the aforementioned King Lycaon and was referenced earlier. When a young boy was once offered as a sacrifice to Zeus, festival-goer Demarchus was compelled to consume the kid's internal organs. Zeus turned the guy into a wolf and told him to refrain from eating humans while in wolf form for the next 9 years as soon as he tasted the forbidden flesh. He would always be a wolf if he didn't stop. Demarchus was eventually transformed back into a human after controlling his desire for human flesh for that long. Then, according to Pausanias, he went on to win an Olympic honor. According to some ancient writers, Demarchus was just one of many people who were transformed into wolves during the sacrifices to Zeus Lycaeus. According to these writers, many males under the same circumstances underwent transformation, and only a select handful were able to refrain from eating human flesh throughout the 9 long years that they roamed as wolves. And this is where the philosopher Plato comes into this. Plato recorded how to become a werewolf in his class book The Republic. He wrote, "The story goes that he who tastes of the one bit of human entrails minced up with those of other victims is inevitably transformed into a wolf." This is a reference to ancient Greek legend of Lycaon discussed previously. It also references religious practices in the Lycaea festival. In Plato's account, he uses the story to illustrate the corruptive potential of power, arguing that when rulers lose their virtue, they can become more beastly than the very beasts themselves, shedding any semblance of human morality and decency. It also shows that the ancient Greeks believed in the concept of werewolves, and Plato took the idea seriously. Plato is known for his allegories and metaphors in his works. One of these works includes his writings on Atlantis, an alleged lost city that was said to have been submerged underwater. Similarly, Plato also wrote about werewolves in some of his literary pieces. However, it is important to note that these references do not necessarily imply a belief in the existence of such creatures or places. Instead, it is more likely that Plato used these stories as allegories to convey deeper philosophical concepts and ideas. For example, the story of Atlantis could represent the downfall of a great civilization due to its own hubris or lack of virtue. Similarly, werewolves may symbolize our animalistic nature and primal instincts which we must learn to control. Therefore, while some ancient Greeks may have believed in werewolves as real creatures with supernatural abilities or curses placed upon them by gods or witches, Plato's references suggest a more symbolic interpretation rather than a literal one. Werewolves in ancient Greece served as an intriguing convergence point of mythology, societal fears, religion, and attempts to understand the human psyche. They symbolized a range of concepts, from punishment for hubris against the gods, a metaphor for the darker side of human nature, to a manifestation of real-world fears of the wilderness and the unknown. These tales, despite their seemingly supernatural themes, offer a valuable understanding of how the ancient Greeks interpreted their world. The werewolf serves as an enduring testament to human culture's capacity to externalize their hopes, fears, and understanding of the world in the form of mythical creatures and stories. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to Connect Paranormal. This will allow us to make more videos. Thanks for watching.